Okay, in this video we are going to talk about three theorems that are almost definitely going to show up on the AP exam. They are the extreme value theorem, the intermediate value theorem, and the mean value theorem. So let's go through them really in the context of the AP exam. I'm not really going to do any problems. I'm just going to tell you about the theorems and make sure you kind of have them in mind as you're going through the problems. So let's take a look. First one, extreme value theorem, which can be abbreviated EVT. And it says if a function is continuous on the closed interval from a to b, then f must attain a maximum and a minimum on that interval, and it attains each of them at least once. And it's definitely the least common of the three theorems that we're going to talk about. In fact, I don't think it's ever been mentioned by name on the AP exam, but you really do need to know it because it comes up and it's kind of a justification that you use without naming a lot. So one important thing is that it only requires continuity. So you don't need a function to be differentiable, but it's really important to remember that differentiable does imply continuous because frequently you're just told a function is differentiable and you have to then know that it's continuous and therefore you could apply this theorem. You really want to think about this on multiple choice questions. So it comes up as a justification a lot on those. In particular, those questions where you have, option 1 and 2, option 1, 2, and 3, and you have to decide which of them are true. So frequently you'll be told the function is continuous, and one of the options, option 1 maybe says it definitely has an absolute minimum. And that has to be true because the function is continuous. But if you don't know this theorem, you might have to think a lot or work it out. But since we know the theorem, not a problem. It also comes up a lot on those questions that are like, which of the following must be true, or which of the following is false or could be false. And I think this theorem is pretty much common sense, which is why it's the least commonly mentioned of the theorems. So let's take a look at the next theorem, which is the intermediate value theorem. So this one you can abbreviate IVT, and it says if a function is continuous on the closed interval from a to b, and takes values f of a and f of b at each end of the interval, then it also takes any value between f of a and f of b at some point within the interval. This is a really common thing that you're going to use. And again, it only requires continuity. So you might have first met this theorem in Algebra 2 because all you need is continuity. In calculus, you of course have to remember that differentiability implies continuity. So again, if you're only told that a function is differentiable, you're also being told it's continuous. You just have to know that you're being told that. So what you do with this theorem is that you use it to prove that something must be equal to something. So for example, you'll use this to prove that f of x must equal 12 or something of that sort. It gets used a lot on FRQs that are table problems where you're given a table of values. And sometimes with compositions, so you'll want to work out f of g of 5 and f of g of 9 or something like that, and then use intermediate value theorem. So typically when you're using it, you use it with inequalities that are kind of on the same level. So what I mean by that is you might know that f of 3 is less than 0 and f of negative 2 is greater than 0, so you can set up this inequality. And therefore you know that f of c is equal to 0 for some c between negative 2 and 3 because you know that f is continuous. So if you're going to use it, you do want to say that the function is continuous. You might also use it on f prime. So for example, you might know that f prime of negative 6 is less than 5 and f prime of 4 is greater than 5. And therefore you can say that f prime is equal to 5 as long as f prime is continuous. For some c between negative 6 and 4. So you'll use it on the same level. So if you know information about f, you can use the intermediate value theorem to tell you things about f. If you know information about f double prime, you can use intermediate value theorem to tell you stuff about f double prime. So it's a really common theorem. You're definitely going to end up using it. So keep it in mind. And let's take a look at the next one. So this is the third of the value theorem. So it's the mean value theorem. So if a function f is continuous on the closed interval, ab, differentiable on the open interval, so continuous closed, differentiable open, then there exists a point c in the open interval from a to b such that f prime of c is equal to f of b minus f of a or b minus a. So the slope of the tangent line equals the slope of the secant line is another way of saying that. This is a really big deal It comes up a lot, and it's definitely the most calculus-based of the theorems. So if you're going to use it, you definitely need to remember continuous closed, differentiable open, and if you're going to use it on an FRQ, you should state those things. So if those aren't true, you're not allowed to use the mean value theorem. So if you're about to use it, go back, make sure it's true, and then actually state it in your write-up. So this is a theorem that moves between levels. So intermediate value theorem stays on the same level, use F to reason about F, F prime to reason about F prime. This moves between levels. So for this, you'll use F to prove things about F prime, you'll use F prime to prove things about F double prime, but anytime you want to use it, make sure you state. So if you're going to use F to prove something about F prime, F better be continuous on the closed and differentiable on the open intervals. If you're going to use F prime to prove something about F double prime, make sure that F prime is continuous on the closed interval and differentiable on the open interval. Sometimes you'll be told that a function is twice differentiable, which is a way of telling you that F and F prime are both continuous on the closed and differentiable on the open. So keep that in mind as well. So a couple of things about this. I mean, this just gets used all over the place, so you definitely want to make sure you know this inside and out. So one of the things, if you're going to prove that F prime of x equals 0, to save yourself a lot of time, look for two x values with the same y value. So this is also called Rolle's theorem, but it doesn't matter if you know that name. You just want to find a place where the slope of the secant line is 0, basically. So this is what a write-up for that might look like. F is continuous on the closed interval from 3 to 7. It is differentiable on the open interval from 3 to 7. And f of 3 equals f of 7. That's convenient because it means the slope of the secant line between them is 0. So we can say, therefore, f prime of c is equal to f of 7 minus f of 3 over 7 minus 3, which we know is 0 because f of 7 and f of 3 are the same for some c between 3 and 7, and that's true by the mean value theorem. So we stated continuity, we stated differentiability, and then we showed that the slope of the tangent line equals the slope of the secant line. So that's how you'll use it frequently. Just a couple of more contexts in which you'll use it. Shows up on the multiple choice a lot, and in those questions you'll sometimes be asked to find C. You might be asked how many values of C are guaranteed on a particular interval, and in those problems, watch out for values that are not on the interval. You'll be asked, must C exist? And that's just, they love to ask questions about, they'll tell you that a function is only continuous and not differentiable, and try to trick you. They'll tell you it's differentiable, so you have to know that it means continuous, things like that. Sometimes you'll be told that there is no value of C guaranteeing it. There is no value of C such that something is true, which really is just a way of telling you that the function is not differentiable, so it kind of flips on you. Those are multiple choice type things. FRQs all over the place. So for example, on tables, you might be asked to prove that f is increasing or decreasing at some point on an interval. You can definitely use mean value theorem for that. Or just prove that f prime is positive or negative, or to show that f prime is not always positive on an interval or not always negative on an interval. Use mean value theorem to find a point where it just contradicts that. You'll also be asked to show that f prime of c is equal to a number. That's actually the most common thing, and a lot of other stuff. On non-table problems, it can just be used all over the place in any way. So you'll definitely have to use a calculator to find a particular value of c. That's the most common thing, is to find the value of c. Sometimes on the non-table type FRQs, you're told that, or you're asked, is there a value such that f prime of c equals 1/3? On those you do, I call it adding a line. So you're told the slope of the line, you're given one of the endpoints, so you just draw the line and see if it ever happens. So you're going to add lines with given slopes. You'll look for points where a function is not differentiable to say that no c value needs to exist. And then there's just all kinds of things. So I would definitely recommend that you just do a ton of practice FRQs. It comes up every year, especially on the table problem, so just look through, find some of those. And just to kind of summarize, so you could screenshot this if you wanted to, we have the extreme value theorem, the intermediate value theorem, the mean value theorem. Those are the value theorems. They're going to show up on the AP exam. Make sure you know them really well. Do a lot of practice. I hope you found this helpful, and good luck.